remote area in the foothills of Sinaloa, 100 miles inland in Mexico. Martin Banning, the famous archaeologist, and his son Jonathan were completing their exploration of an abandoned silver mine that was rich in ancient Aztec treasures. While Martin Banning prepared his discoveries for shipment, his son went down into the mine for one last look around. Jonathan Banning went down the shaky ladder into the mine shaft. His father worked outside with no premonition of impending disaster. Deep in the flooded mine, his son was trapped. Jonathan Banning was trapped in the flooded mine. I was the only diver in the area, so the authorities sent a helicopter to pick us up. They took us into the foothills, where a police car was waiting to take us to the mine.
Look, Bill, you think there is a chance?
Pete, I want you to go back to Culican. Pick up a doctor and some help, huh?
See, muy pronto.
Professor, I'll need a layout of the mine before I get down under a rough sketch will do.
Of course. Now, this is the entrance of the mine with the ladder here. Now, the main tunnel runs straight under the mountain like this. And it ends in a stope slanting up to a small rock chamber here. And that's where Johnny was going when the mine flooded.
If he made it, he's okay. Look, the water level is here in the main shaft, so naturally it's the same level over there at the rock chamber. So we know he's got air. Professor, what is the size of that rock chamber?
Oh, small, very small. How long do you think the air will last?
Depends on the size of the rock chamber. 3 or 4 hours, I'd say.
It's been over 2 hours now.
What is the size of the main tunnel, Professor?
Over 100 yards. It's too long for anyone to swim holding his breath. I know because I tried before you came. But even if you find him, how can you possibly bring him out?
There'll be a way. After I find him.
Here, Pop.
Oh, thanks, Patty.
Pop, be careful.
Oh, come on now, Skippy. You never said that before.
You never swam in a mine before.
Just go with him.
He'll be back before you know it.
As Patty said, I never swam in a mine before. And it was a strange sensation to swim straight down into blackness. First setback, an underwater light that quit working. I discarded it and used my spare, but it cut my margin of safety in half. After a while, the vertical shaft leveled out, and I swam along a horizontal gallery cluttered with a jumble of overturned mine cars. Down here, deep beneath the surface of the earth, the force of the earthquake had tossed them around like toys. The wrecked mine cars slowed me down, but they didn't stop me. I just had to be careful finding my way through them. Then I came to something that did stop me. The steel rails the mine cars ran on, bent into a maze of twisted metal, completely blocking a narrow part of the tunnel. I tried to force my way through, but it had taken the whole force of the earthquake to jam the rails into the opening, and I didn't have strength enough to make them give even an inch. I had to give up and turn back.
Who are these Aztec, Professor?
Oh, yes, thanks. Well, they were people who lived here a long time ago. They owned all this country. Mr. Greer! Mr. Greer, is he all right?
We'll know as soon as I get some gear. Professor, the top rungs on that ladder are loose. Would you nail them in, please? Try to give me a hand. Hold this, Patty. I ran into something down there that I want him to hear about. There are some rails blocking the tunnel, and I have to cut them away with a torch.
What do you need the spear gun for and the marker boy?
Well, let Jonathan know help's on the way. I'll be back for these, Patty. Check them, will you? My idea was to shoot a marker buoy through the barrier and float it up into the chamber. If Jonathan Banning was there and alive, he'd signal me by pulling the cord. Patty wouldn't have come into the mine if it hadn't been a matter of life and death. On her underwater slate, she had written, "Banning's sick." I started topside with her.
Are you all right, Professor?
I'm feeling fine. Mr. Greer, it's Johnny.
I made contact. He's all right. Patty, get me the oxygen tank off the torch.
Okay.
And a spare regulator. Is your heart?
I'm afraid so, but don't worry the child.
The oxygen will help. Now, lie down.
Don't waste any time on me.
No,
Johnny
no,
needs you more than I do.
I doubt whether he'd go along with that. Now, you're going to be fine.
There was only one way I could give Professor Banning the oxygen he needed. That was to take it from my oxyacetylene cutting torch and let him breathe it through Patty's aqualung. And that meant putting the torch out of commission. I couldn't use it to cut the rails in the flooded tunnel.
Patty, take off your gear. I want you to stay topside with the professor.
It was a hard decision, choosing between a father's life and his son's. I kept hoping the professor wouldn't need all the oxygen. Maybe there'd be enough left over for the torch.
Make you feel better.
In the meantime, I knew the oxygen in Jonathan's rock chamber would be getting worse every minute. But I could keep him going a little while longer with a fresh supply of air from Patty's pressure tank.
He's doing fine, Patty. You regulate the oxygen. Give him all he needs.
I went past the overturned mine cars as fast as I could, carrying Patty's tank. Compressed air isn't rich enough in oxygen to use in a cutting torch, but I could keep young Jonathan Banning alive for quite a while if I could get this air to him. I opened the valve, blasting the air toward the upward slope of the gallery. I didn't know how long Jonathan could hold out with the air I had sent him. I only knew there was no time to lose. Professor Banning was breathing more easily, thanks to the oxygen. His pulse was regular, and Sergeant Ibarra would be back at any moment with a doctor. But the question was, could Jonathan wait? I decided to gamble on Professor Banning's improved condition and took the oxygen away from him. There wasn't much oxygen left, but there might be just enough to cut through the rails blocking the tunnel. It was Jonathan's only chance.
Jonathan. What is he?
Please, Professor Banning, please, take it easy. My Pop will get him out.
You have a lot of faith in him, haven't you, Patty?
The torch went out. No more oxygen. I had the rails nearly cut through. It's hard to get leverage underwater. I twisted, strained, and the rails moved.
You okay now? Yeah, let's put this up here.
My father, did he get out before the mine flooded?
He got out okay. Now, look, I have to make one more trip topside. I want you to conserve what little air you have, and don't panic. I'll be back as soon as I can.
Look, I've done some skin diving. You've got an extra.
I haven't, but I'll be back with something just as good. Time, Professor. One more trip and I'll have him out.
But without an aqualung for Jonathan, how can you?
With this?
Will it work?
It'll work. First time I cut it thin, Patty. Besides, I've always got my reserve. Hand me that. Diving gear.
This?
Well, did you ever take a glass, turn it upside down, put it in a bucket of water?
Sure, Physics 1. The air forms a pocket at the top.
Yeah, this is your glass, only it's big enough to go over your head. Now you put it over your head like this. Now take a good tight hole on the side, because if it tips, you're in trouble. Then you pull it down over your head like this and submerge. Now remember, take a good tight grip on the side. If you tilt it, you'll lose your air and you'll really be in trouble. You got it?
I understand.
Let's try it. What you wait for?
I think it'll hold enough air to last me through.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed.
a tight hole on the plastic box. No sign of panic. He seemed to be breathing all right. I guided him toward the rail barrier. Then, trouble. His elbow bumped the side of the tunnel. He lost his grip. The box tipped and the air rushed out.
I'm sorry.
Fine, you make it the next time.
I don't think I can. I breathe in the same air over and over when it's foul to begin with.
Yeah, we'll fix that. We'll take care of it.
Anything wrong?
It's my air reserve. Now listen, no more mistakes. We make it this time or no time at all. And one other thing. If you see me get rid of my tanks, it means that I'm out of air. I might have to go on ahead of you on the breath that I'm holding. Now don't panic because you can make it on your own. Let's try it.
Listen, we're strangers. I don't even know your name.
The name's Bill Greer, and your father's waiting. Let's go.
I could see Jonathan's face through the clear plastic. He was doing all right, breathing the best he could in his tiny pocket of air. No panic yet. Past the point of no return. If Jonathan lost his air here, we'd never make it back to the rock chamber. Then my air ran out. I dumped the tank and took off fast. Jonathan Banning was on his own. Nobody to help him if he tipped the plastic box and lost his air.
The doctor.
Where are they?
In the tent.
Thank you, Mr. Greer. Where's my father?
Come on.
Jonathan. Oh, a few months in the hospital. He'll be all right.
Dad.
And that, amigo, is what I call a fine cure for a heart attack. Oh, I have a surprise for you, senorita. A gift from Professor Banning.
For me? Why, Pop?
That's an Aztec good luck charm.
Good luck charm? You need this more than me, Pop.